Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and over the last 24 hours we have had really stellar XLM and XRP sparked what has now turned into a little bit of a run. XRP's at 241. If you look down here, where's Stellar? There it is. Stellar's up 16.97% over the last 24 hours. XRP's up 11.93. Usually XRP leads the way, but this time Stellar led the way, which is not a bad thing. Then I wanted to point out, because the VC Pump Gang Media over there at CNBC, they won't be covering this, so I figured I should. XRP's up 315% on the year. Bitcoin's up 123%, Ethereum 55%, Solana 111%. But all you'll hear about is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and SUI maybe on CNBC. You don't have to take my word for it. This is the return rates on Coin Paprika. And there they are on the year. You can see XRP and Dogecoin are the top performing out of the top, which is hilarious, out of the top 10 on the year so far. To be expected, in my opinion. Now, something I wanted to remind everybody of. Yesterday, or in the last few days, Linda Yaccarino, who's I think she's the CEO of X now, she put this tweet out, and we covered it. In 2024, X changed the world. Now you are the media. 2025, X will connect you in ways you never thought possible. X TV, X Money, Grok, and more. Buckle up. Happy New Year. I'm interested in this X Money part because Stripe runs the payments for the X platform. Here's where they are talking about the partnership. I want to remind everybody that Stripe owns 2% of the XLM supply. Right here, this is from October 15th, 2024. Stripe announces using Stellar as a payment rail. I've been covering this for a long time. Actually, when I was at 2019 Singapore Swell with Ripple, I was standing there. I remember David Schwartz talking about it. The Stellar people they had 100 billion tokens like XRP, and they burned 50 billion of them. So when Stripe invested in Stellar back in, I think it was 2014-ish, they, in return for the money, they took 2% of the XLM supply. So it could be that they actually own 4% of the XLM supply since 50 billion was burned. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen an update on that. This is from 2018, the Stripe COO. She's sitting on stage with Ashish Birla from Ripple when she says this.
I think in July, Bitcoin took about 60 minutes for the transaction to go through, which still isn't great. Imagine going to get a cup of coffee and then standing there for 60 minutes waiting for your transaction to go through. It's not a currency. It's been as long as 3 to 5 days. And when you get that long for a transaction to clear, you actually sometimes and the price difference changes, you actually have to do another transaction in order to make up the difference. So it became very complex on our side, but also on the merchant side, in order to reconcile and manage their books and know what they were actually selling, because the Bitcoin value is so volatile. It was changing, daily at that time.
Wow. Ashish, I know you guys at Ripple have a product that you sell to all sorts of financial institutions that uses cryptocurrency called XRP. Can you talk a little bit about, I know so far no bank has actually agreed to use XRP for payments, but that's something that your CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, has guaranteed will happen by the end of this year. Can you talk a little bit about what is the resistance that you're getting from banks and financial institutions and what it's going to take to overcome that?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And that what we're finding is that it's a regional difference as well. So, in Southeast Asia, it's a very different story than the US, where a lot of these banks and financial institutions are reliant on the HSBCs, the Citibanks of the world to move money, but they're the future superpowers of the world. And they're seeing that they can use blockchain technology to leapfrog the Western world and maybe not rely so much on the service that Citibank offers to move money. The other thing is that there are a lot of issues with using digital assets and cryptocurrencies to move money. But part of what we've done at Ripple is made that experience a good one. So for example, there is an issue with volatility, but using our technology, if they want to move money into Mexico, for example, they're seeing the US dollar to Mexican peso rate, and they're only exposed to the volatility as it transfers across the different systems for a few seconds.
There you go. It was never Bitcoin. XRP has passed Tether again. We see you, Ethereum. This is from the classic Meet the Parents movie when Greg Fokker is showing the dad that he's watching him. I think at that point Greg Fokker didn't care anymore. One of my favorite movie scenes of all time is in Meet the Parents. From the time that they go to the girl's ex-boyfriend's house all the way until the time they leave, it's just a classic scene. It's about 2 to 5 minutes of awesome, hilarious. Brad Garlinghouse, Happy New Year to the XRP family and entire crypto community. Excited for the year ahead. Momentum and increased focus on real-world utility continues to build. And then Good Morning Crypto is making us aware that Brad Garlinghouse liked a tweet stating January 20th is around the corner, that Donald Trump will be in the White House, and we are going to make crypto great again. Big things coming for XRP in 2025. The guys over at Black Swan Capital, Black Swan Capitalists had Andy Sheckman from Miles Franklin on.
XRP is a cross-border remittance protocol, and it's really
Miles Franklin is one of my sponsors, by the way.
Considered to be the plumbing of the new financial system that is being put into place to replace the crumbling infrastructure that already exists. And that's why my brother said it was designed for infinite scalability. Because as more value moves, and we're talking about all the value in the world in some way, form, or fashion, tokenized assets, securities, derivatives market, bonds, even the bonds, the Treasury Department talked about tokenizing bonds they didn't mention the XRP ledger, but it's the only one they're working with. So all of this value is going to be going back and forth, and that's what drives the price up to climb to meet the demand for the liquidity that is necessary to settle all these transactions, to bridge these financial ecosystems, what the BRICS nations is trying to accomplish with their payment system, what the new development bank is involved in. So all these ecosystems can be bridged through the interoperability that this digital asset provides. So it's considered to be the backbone of the new financial system and the backbone of a tokenized economy.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Okay, check this tweet out. This guy is apparently, I'm assuming he's more of a Bitcoin guy because most of his predictions are around Bitcoin. But he's got over almost 600,000 followers. And this was number 8 of his predictions for 2025. Sol and XRP get ETF approvals. Bitcoin and Ethereum approvals. The new regulatory regime should pave the way for more relaxed approvals in 2025. Coins like Litecoin, HBAR, and are also in line. But I think demand for Sol and XRP will be stronger. John Deaton, this tweet surprised me because John Deaton's always made it clear that he owns more Bitcoin than anything. He goes through all of this and then he talks about how, everybody's talking about a Bitcoin strategic reserve, and he's talking about how he doesn't think it's going to happen. And he's telling you, I own a bunch of Bitcoin. I would love for it to happen. But down here is where it gets interesting. But the USG actively purchasing 500K or 1 million to 5 million Bitcoin is an entirely different ballgame. Would Satoshi's identity, dead or alive, need to become public knowledge? Is the U.S. government going to aggressively buy Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset and publicly state, no, we don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, and we're not going to try and find out? Imagine the amount of criticism and lawsuits, folks. See, I've been saying this for years now. Nobody else in crypto will say it. There's tremendous liability in either not knowing who Satoshi is or knowing and having lied about your knowledge of it all this time. That could be even worse as far as lawsuits. They're in a box that nobody talks about. the Bitcoin maxis, that is. Imagine the amount of criticism and scrutiny coming from both the press and elected officials who oppose SBR. Wouldn't the USG need to be assured of Satoshi's dead or the keys are lost forever? Satoshi is already one of the richest people in the world. If the USG starts aggressively buying Bitcoin, followed by other countries, Bitcoin hits 1 million and Satoshi becomes the world's first trillionaire, almost overnight. Sorry, Elon Musk. Several analysts have called for 1 million per Bitcoin by 2024 if SBR is passed. Recently, on Patrick Bet-David's PD podcast, Patrick had fun questioning Saylor over the look Saylor gave Scottie Pippen when Scottie claimed he met Satoshi in the early 90s. The look became a popular meme for about a week. Saylor told Patrick Bet-David, "I was uncomfortable because us Bitcoin maximalists are very protective of Satoshi, and we don't talk about Satoshi other than with reverence." That is psycho, folks. I don't care what you say. That right there, this guy answers to investors, supposedly. This is pure lunacy. The idea that you're just not going to talk about him. What? What if it's North Korea? What if it's a terrorist organization? Or what if it's Russia or China? Maybe it's the CCP that created. You're telling me that the U.S. government's going to make this some huge part of what they're doing without knowing that? I don't believe the USG can take such a reverent approach and claim not to know the Satoshis while purchasing, not to know who Satoshi is while purchasing all this Bitcoin. By the way, I'm not suggesting Saylor knows or doesn't know who Satoshi is, and my comments are in no way meant to be disrespectful or flippant to Michael, whom I've met and who's not only incredibly intelligent, but is also a genuinely nice person. Like I said, I hope Scaramucci's right. He's referencing this clip down here. So what John's saying is right in line with what I've been saying. Doesn't make any sense. Nothing about it's ever made any sense to me. Well, when I first got in this, I was just like the Bitcoin maxis. Oh, this Bitcoin thing could change everything. And then I realized what it was and what it was not.
On Yahoo Finance, you recently...
And then I heard the Homeland Security video.
Now with 10 crypto predictions for 2025, we want to zero in on 3 of those that we think could have the biggest impact on the price of Bitcoin here moving forward. And that first thing that you pointed out was that the U.S. is going to declare Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset. I guess 2-part question here. 1, how realistic do you think that is? And then 2, how much of that optimism has already been baked into the price of Bitcoin here today?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. I would say, first of all, in the light of the last year with Bitcoin ETFs being extremely successful, the most successful ETFs ever created, as well as the election of pro-crypto candidates and a pro-crypto administration, the backdrop is set for a strong 2025. In terms of your actual question, there's 2 aspects to the strategic reserve. One is, by executive order, Trump can take the Bitcoin that the U.S. government has confiscated and already owns and just say, this is part of our strategic reserve now. There's about 200,000 Bitcoin that the U.S. government already holds. In addition to that, which is maybe a bit more complicated, is there's a bill in the Senate introduced by Cynthia Lummis to buy another 1 million Bitcoin through the Treasury. That is a little bit trickier because it has to go through the whole legislative process and can't just be done with the swoop of a pen. However, I think, if you look at the kind of pros and cons of being pro-crypto, if you support crypto, you get more votes, you get more political donations, and there's really not a lot of benefit to being anti-crypto unless you're completely bought by the banks. And so I think there may be the political will to actually approve that bill as well. We've also seen, it's also significant.
Okay, and then we also had the Bitwise CEO talking about the same
Bitcoin
thing.
has enjoyed this incredible run, Matt. As we look ahead now to 2025, 12 months from now, Matt, it's December 2025. We're talking here. Bitcoin is where, Matt? What do you forecast?
It's great to be here. We're going to have the same conversation that Bitcoin has had an incredible run. We expect Bitcoin to be up above $200,000 by this time next year. There are just 3 irrepressible sources of demand driving the market. You have ETFs that are vacuuming up Bitcoin. You have public companies like MicroStrategy vacuuming up Bitcoin. And now we're talking about governments vacuuming up Bitcoin. At the end of the day,
look at this. All they mention is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. The VC pump gang is real.
It's down to supply and demand. There's too much demand, not enough supply. And so I think the price goes higher in 2025.
I mean, Matt, rarely, though, do you see demand for an asset so sustained over this kind of a time period, right? Does it need new catalysts, or, is it...
What she's really asking is, do we need more gimmicks to keep the Ponzi scheme going?
Effectively just a momentum trade with nothing real...
Since it has no utility?
To stop it.
Well, I think the real story is people just wake up to Bitcoin at different paces. We saw...
All right, we don't need to listen to any more of that. What I want to talk, I want to go into DAIXRP.com, and the chart guys are alive and well. The XRP price, they're talking about this, and they're talking about what they see. There's some significant milestones that have happened. We're going to talk about those in DAIXRP.com. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family, away we go.